my daughter said to me when she was about 4 years old, we're at the dinner table, my ex-husband, we were military and then he worked away in the mines, and she goes to me, one of the boys said, "What do you do, Mummy?" And Holly goes, "Daddy goes to work and Mummy does the dishes." And I went, "What the fuck have I done?
You're
what
like, kill me.
Actual fuck have I done? Help me now."
How is this? Yeah, help me now. How is this a fucking thing right now?
How is this how they see me? I'm a fucking warrior. Have you met me?
And it's very interesting just even having this conversation now purely because you were in military. So you're like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm strong, I can help everyone, and I'm also around very masculine thing. So then it's like, oh, but now I'm just a mum. But why do we go, I'm just a mum? When, why did we make that mean that we are less than? Why is that not the most important role that we do? So what happens in society for us to go, I'm just a Okay, welcome to another episode with Kirsty and Bo. Bo is still out with the mics at the moment, so it's just me and my beautiful guest. I have the incredible Nicky here today, and she is the incredible owner of Who Fucking Knows, and there's an incredible story with that as well. She is a boss babe, she is a mum, she has gone through all of the process with divorce, family issues, children, building empires, and just all the things that come with building a business with all of these elements. And she is here to tell her incredible story of all the things that she has overcome in life, challenges, setbacks, and where she is now in the beautiful world of Nicky. So happy to have you here, Nicky. How are you?
What a fucking intro. That was brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So happy to be here, babe. Really happy to come on and have just a really raw chat with you.
Yes. Well, so tell me a little bit about yourself so everyone can get a bit of an understanding. Who is Nicky? Who is the woman behind Who Fucking Knows?
Yeah, well, again, who fucking knows? Because she's different at all stages of her life and in all scenarios. And, I think some of the confusion that comes up when we go through big events in our life, because business is a big event, let's be honest. And so the Who Fucking Knows is just the permission to just show up, however I am on that day. Some days I'm really put together. Other days I'm a real fucking mess.
Aren't we all?
I know, right? Exactly. So I guess, in short, I'll just tell you, I grew up in a teeny tiny country town in the WA wheat belt, middle of nowhere typesville. And I fucking loved it. I loved being out in the country. I loved the lifestyle that brought. We moved around a lot when I was a kid because it was very difficult for my dad to break into business in a small town, which people will still relate to now. And I also went back to that tiny country town when I was 16. And at that moment, I hugged my dad and said, "Thank you for getting me the fuck out of here," because I was never meant to be a farmer's wife and bake sponge cakes behind the scenes, right? So, but I was a pretty compliant kid until I wasn't. So yeah, and then, we moved, like I said, moved around a lot. Dad had itchy feet all the time, which my brother absolutely hated. I absolutely loved. And it's really, I describe myself as a gypsy now because I really do like, the thrill of movement and the thrill of change. And I found that quite difficult to stay put once I had kids. But then, in line with that, I went and joined the army at 23, which again took me on multiple adventures and living different places. And, so you see a bit of a theme going on there. Left the army when I had my children because I never wanted to be in that space with kids. So I left there, went from I was at the top of my game, Kirsty. I fucking knew who I was. I had a reputation. I'd won awards. I was, living life, and then had my first baby, and my then partner left for Iraq when my baby was 8 weeks old, and I hit anxiety. So that was I was thinking about this today going oh yeah, I remember how embarrassed I was to be anxious and to have to go and get therapy and to be on antidepressants and all of that. And I forget that sometimes because I've done so much work. I forget how we can sort of feel the projection of the world on us when it's actually not there. And so, yeah, going and having kids put me on my ass again. You can't be perfect in that environment, much as I might have tried. And so that was what birthed my coaching business. So I did go and study psych when I was in the military because I saw a whole thing going on there. But then when I had my own postnatal depression journey, ran into a coach at an event, like a wellness event. I ran into a coach and he said to me, "There's nothing wrong with you. You've just forgotten you've got the resources inside you that you need." And I was like, "Bitch, come at me." Like, because I'd been going from doctor to doctor to doctor, getting told it's just a chemical imbalance. This is just how it is. You've just got postnatal depression. And I just knew, like something in me just knew. I was like, no, that's not true. And I kept going back saying, give me another psych because that one's not good enough. That one's not tough enough. They just give me like really soft things to do. I need someone harder, I kept saying, whatever that meant. But that's what the coaching industry was for me. It was like, oi, there's nothing wrong. Let's get back on our horse. So I loved that. So I immediately flipped over from psych training to coach training. And yeah, launched multiple small businesses, ended up here.
And you know what? Like, what an incredible journey! Like, just even that alone, like, and we all know, like, when we're talking about like our backgrounds, like, there's multiple holes there. Like, there's
We can go a
multiple other
million
layers.
ways. Yeah.
You can go in a million ways.
Yeah.
But like, how did you get to the army? Like, why?
Yep.
Like, how
Yep.
did you get there?
Yeah, beautiful question, because a client asked me this the other day actually, and I had to really think about it again. But what happened was my parents grew up in a generation, you'll understand this, your parents are the same age, where they worked really hard. Like they couldn't stay in school because they needed to go to work and earn money for their family. They had a really tough life. So when we came along, they wanted it to be better for us. So what I noticed at 23 was, I'm really sheltered a little bit. Like I'm really sort of, taken care of here. And my dad would rescue me on a dime. And I thought, if I don't get out from under this, I'm going to get stuck in it. So I was like, what better way to get out of it than join the army? Well, look, I'd had some experience there too. I dated a guy who had gone off and joined the army. So I'd moved to Canberra with him. I had been in the Royal Military College. I'd seen what it was all about. I also started doing martial arts when I was there in Canberra. And it was probably the first time, Kirsty, that someone saw in me the strength that I hadn't grown up with, you're just a girl, and that I hadn't seen in myself. And my instructor said to me, "I think you're going to be my first female black belt." And I was like, who the fuck do you think I am? Like, and then he talked about his training of soldiers, and I was like, I wonder if I could do that. So those two things combined, like I need to get out, make my mark on the world, and also, maybe I'm not who I think I am, led me to the army, and I absolutely fucking loved it. And my mum didn't talk to me for a week when I joined because she didn't love it.
And do you know what? Isn't that interesting? Like, this was like the journey that you wanted to go on. And I feel like, knowing you as well, like you have you've got two sides. You've got a lot, but you've got like a rebellious side, as in like, fuck you, I'll do what I want. But then you have I'm a good girl, I'm playing the perfect card, I've got to keep it all together, and we see this common pattern in a lot of women. And women, having to wear all the hats, but then not wanting to let people know that, I'm soft, I'm this, I'm all of that. Plus, I'm also masculine, I'm also strong, I also don't need you. And I think we build this thing around us that we should be. We were brought up also in that boss girl era. We can do it all.
Yeah.
That is a fucking issue.
Yeah, 100%.
We can do it all. And then we feel like, you went through, you just like left the military and the army and things like that. You had a baby, you got anxiety, but was it actually that? Or was it the fact that you don't actually know who you were in this moment, in this space?
It was such an identity challenge for me because I always used to joke with my mum and say I'm never having kids. I was the boss babe. I was going all the way. I was going to be like in charge of the whole army.
Of course you were, of course.
Of course I was, right? And then all of a sudden it was like, I think I want to have a baby. And then that happened. Like whatever I decide happens, you know what I mean? So when I had a baby, my God, the love, you would know this, Kirsty, the fierceness that comes through you when you have a kid. And the way that I sort of took that on, and I took it on with the same level of commitment that I had put into my military training, which probably wasn't, like I could have relaxed a little bit, let's be honest. But it was a very big identity shift. I was trying to remain, I think I moved my masculine, tough energy over to being the best mum ever, rather than being just a little bit relaxed. I read every book. I did everything they said. And my first child, like, he was not a sleeper. He did not play by the rules. He did not do what the book said. And I was like, what the fuck? I can lead a team of 30 soldiers, like, vomiting because I've worked them so hard, and I cannot get this kid to go to sleep. Like, it was a big identity shift, as well as the identity shift of moving into, feeling like I didn't know what I was doing, and anxiety and depression and all of that. And like I said, I had this really big meltdown. And I remember saying to my then husband, like, don't tell anybody. I was so embarrassed that I couldn't handle it, you know?
Wow. And and
Yeah.
and I know that so many women can relate to that. And I can personally say, like, from having all of the companies that we've had, working
Yeah.
offshore and having my kids is the hardest job. One
Absolutely.
fucking
Oh.
1000%. And it's
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
and this is like, like you work with so many different women. You actually work with a
Mm.
lot of mums. And then there's a
Oh.
part of you, like, when we've been like mind mapping, so like, all the different business structures that you don't want to be like, known as like the mama pamur and like all of those types of things. And it's very interesting just even having this conversation now, purely
Yeah.
because you were in military. So you're like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm strong, I can help
Mhm.
everyone, and
Mhm.
I'm also around very masculine thing. So then it's
Mhm.
like, oh, but now I'm just a mum.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
there's that pattern, like, but why do we go, I'm just a mum?
Mm.
When, like, why did we make that mean that we are less than? Like, why is that
Mhm.
not the most important role that we do? So, what happened in society for us to go, I'm just a mum?
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, I felt a weakness. I would judge other mums. I hated it when people would use their kids as excuses, like, I can't do that. I've got to put my kids first. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So all that judgment came back on me from within me. And that's where
Yeah.
that kind of I'm just a mum thing came from. You know what I mean? And what did you say next? What happened in society that made it that way? Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What happened to us to like for us to be like, I'm just a mum, and then making that mean like we're less than? Like, why are we
Yeah.
less than because we're in that mum role? Like right
Yeah.
now at the moment, because Bro's away, I forgot what it was like to be the
Yeah.
mum, and
Yeah.
I'm loving it, and it's
Yes.
like we do this thing because we're always in the proving. I'm gonna fucking prove you wrong. I can
Yes.
do this. I can do that. And even though we've been doing the work and we break through all these layers, there's still a very strong habit pattern in there. And being able to right now be in this mum zone, I'm just
Mm.
like, I forgot what it's like to feel soft and nurturing and loving and
Yeah.
caring. Because Bro had taken over that role. So you had your first child, and then through
Mhm.
that, so is that when you started your first coaching business, when you were in that, or did you, because you've got
No,
three?
so with my first child, I was still part-time in the army. So I did a 2.5 day a week job in the military and 2.5 days a week off. But my little one got so sick. We lived in Darwin and he was so sick all the time that I really felt that pull. And I know so many women can relate to this.
Mm.
I'm failing as a mother and I'm failing in my career. And I didn't know how to balance those two out at all or choose one or the other. I felt guilty all the fucking time. Like, so then the self-loathing comes in. Then I just hated myself and I was isolated. Like I said, my partner got deployed overseas for 7 months when my baby was 8 weeks old. So I did the whole first year really by myself and just completely, within your own head, which is not always a great place to be, is it? So I ended up actually going and living with my parents for a while he was away, which was a beautiful blessing and a curse that came up with some challenges as well for us all. Um,
Yep.
However, like, you just, I got pregnant with my second, then I left. Then I was like, okay, I am too isolated here in Darwin. All my friends had been posted out. I need to go home. And that's when I went home to Adelaide where my parents live. And that's where I started my first business. Can't remember what it was. Oh, network marketing, health and nutrition. Went straight into learning NLP and coaching. I was just ready, and again, me being me, all in or all out, bull at a gate, like, right, I'm fucking in and off I went sort of thing. Was on antidepressants and the doctor said, make sure you wean yourself off. I was like, nope, they're in the bin tomorrow. Because
Yeah.
I believed that nutrition and mindset would be the thing that healed me, and it was. So yeah, I started a business running as a PT. which we all sort of go to first, don't we? And
Yep.
then I used to take my kids to a music and movement program. And so I started a business running music and movement. So teaching little kids music and, there's a lot of developmental stuff behind it, which people friggin' cannot believe now because they're like, how did you not swear while you were running this freaking business? So again, I was really into the psychology of raising children. When my kids are 2 and 4, I started teaching parenting classes. So I went to my own parenting classes on the theory of parenting by connection rather than parenting by behavioral discipline. And that changed my life. That changed my absolute life. I believe it's like why my kids are phenomenal now. And it changed my life because I was like, oh,
Mm.
hang on a minute. I need the connection for me so that I can parent better rather than just doing what I was told or telling my kids what to do. It was like, okay, there's a different way to do this, and copped a fair bit of flack for that. But, I'm glad I stayed on that
But
path.
what I love about that, because this is probably the biggest thing right here. And again, it's what our foundation is on: connection,
Yes.
network,
Yeah.
support, community. And you understood that. And how many mums, pretty much all mums, we always still feel alone. Like you just said,
Correct.
you didn't want to tell anyone. You don't want anyone to know that
Correct.
you
Yeah.
were in your mind failing. That
Yeah.
I don't have this perfect. I had this perfect in the army. Like, how do I not have this perfect with this little thing in front of me?
Yeah.
Like, why can't I fix you? Like, why can't you
Oh,
just be like,
babe.
the book said that you would be sleeping by now? Like, the book's
Yes.
fucking lying, And then so it's funny how you go into that space. And this is why majority, 90% or more that are coaches, we literally create what we needed. That's why
100%.
you're
Yeah.
so powerful.
I came into motherhood telling my mum that baby's not going to change my life. Like everything will go back the same after 6 months. Yeah.
Yes. And
And-
that is such a, oh my God, like I've had so many mums that
Yeah.
are like first time mums that haven't had their babies yet.
Yeah.
And like, and they say all these things and I'm like, I just stay quiet because we'll see.
And thank
I'll
God my mother
wait.
did, because I would have bitten her head off. She was just like,
Yeah.
okay, love. And we still joke
Yeah.
about it now. I had a 2-page birth plan. This is how it's going to go at the 45-minute mark, at the 2-hour mark. Like, oh my fucking God, talk about control freak. So, motherhood was my biggest lesson in letting go of control, learning to do things a bit differently, softening up. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Softening up and probably
Yeah.
also going with the flow more. Like I resonate with that so much of like
Yeah.
having like, you had, and that's you too. Like that's the perfect Nicky trying to like be in control and like everything's gonna go. And like back in the day when I had Noah, I had a
Yeah.
5-year-old as well, and I was in a scheduling business that I was doing. I
Yeah.
scheduled not a bloody epidural and like C-section. I scheduled that, hey, on the weekend will be perfect to have this baby because my birthing person was working on the week,
Yeah.
and that I needed to have him on the
Yeah.
Sunday. I literally made that happen. So I went
Yes.
walking all that day.
Willed
I
it.
did the things. Yep.
Yeah.
I went to the movies and I was actually with my brother at the movies and I felt this like drop and I thought, oh, that felt a little bit like funny. And then I was like, hey, I'm just going to go to the bathroom, come out, the plugs. Then I'm like, oh my God,
Oh my
I'm going
God.
into
Here we
labor.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to like go back up to my brother and say, hey, I need you to have me home. I'm in labor. And he said to me, this is Corey Waddingham. He said,
Yeah.
well, can't you wait to the end of the movie? Like, this is like the best part of the movie. I was
Oh
like,
my God.
are
Bitch,
you
are you kidding?
joking
Yeah.
me? But do you know what is even worse? He took me home. He rung my birthing person who was coming, who was my boss, and he went back to the
Back
movies
to the
and
cinema.
finished.
Oh my God, bro. No. That is so
Corey
funny.
Waddingham.
I just want to say there, you said something like you were like, I willed it to happen. Because when I had my first, that was the first time I realized how strong I was a manifester. Same thing, Kirsty. Like, I actually was so worried about him one day. And I had this image of Ben being in hospital. We were in hospital the next day. Like, all of a sudden I realized, like, what I think I'm creating. And I was like, holy fuck, like, that's really powerful, right? And I just want to say as well, when my mum and my husband drove me to the hospital to have my first baby, I demanded they let me out of the car, out on the road, because they didn't want to be in the car anymore. So I then had to walk to the fucking hospital. Like, seriously, could you be any more stubborn or controlling? I was like, they were like, Nicky, it'll take me 2 minutes to drive you to the door of the hospital. I was like, let me out of the fucking car.
I love it. You're like, I'm the stubborn one all the way to the birthing thing.
I am deciding how this goes. And you know what? My eldest son, hilarious, because his birth was so quick and, and everything went differently. And this is the moment you start learning you are not in fucking control, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is the thing, like business and kids are your biggest lessons.
Yes,
You
100%.
learn so much from them. You learn so much from your business. All
Yeah.
your shadows
Oof.
come up. All of like
Yeah.
your things that you've been keeping inside that you're trying to pretend that you're something that you're not on the outside is like coming to the surface, and you're like, oh my god, like what is happening here? What is the world trying to show us? And
Yeah.
I think this is when again the coaches go into these industries because they're like, I got through that. I know how
Yes.
you're feeling. I get
Yeah.
it. Like I've
Yeah.
fucking been there. I'm the one holding on to control, realizing, hey, I gotta let go. Like
Yeah.
enough's enough.
And my first business was called Mums Can Fly. When I first came out of coaching school, and it was like, you launch your first 10 sessions with a client or whatever, and it was called Mums Can Fly, Fabulous, Limitless You. And that was 100% and solely because I'd been through that experience of feeling like you said before, just a mum. And, I remember I dropped the kids off at daycare once in my army uniform because I was still in the reserves for a while after I had them. And all of a sudden I was important and I was like, fuck you
Uh,
bitches. Like, you know what I mean? Just because I've got a
yep.
fucking uniform on. Like used to get really frustrated. I was like, it was so much easier to be in the army than it was to raise children. There's a manual that you follow and there's rules, and you know what I mean? I think we're just so underestimated. And the thing was, Kirsty, I was underestimating myself. So that
Yeah.
was a journey I needed to go on. It was my daughter said to me when she was about 4 years old, we were at the dinner table, my ex-husband, we were military and then he worked away in the mines, and she goes to me, one of the boys said, "What do you do, mummy?" And Holly goes, "Daddy goes to work and mummy does the dishes." And I went, "What the fuck have I done?
You're like,
What
kill
the
me.
actual
Kill me.
fuck have I done?
Like
Help me now."
how is this? Yeah, help me now. How is this the fucking
How
thing right now?
how is this how they see me? I'm a fucking warrior. Have you met me? Anyway, that was a really big turning moment for me, where I was like, oh, I need to show them more. So I started bringing them along when I did speaking events. I started bringing them along to, when I would do trainings and stuff, where they would see that actually I wasn't just that. And then I started to tell them, did you know mummy used to be in the army and mummy used to ride motorbikes and mummy used to do these things. And then their friends would come over and go, did you really? Like, were you really in the army? Because again, you're a girl.
Isn't that interesting? And one thing I want to say, like, just before when you said you were in your army outfit and you're going
Mm.
outfit, your army
Yeah,
actual
my
uniform.
army costume,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then you were like, no, dropping the kids off. And isn't it funny that in that moment, people are like, oh my God, wow, like
You're
she's in the
important,
army.
you're
You're
important.
important.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you know what? But that also anchors into you. I'm
Yes,
important when I wear this. I'm
yes,
not important when I'm a mum dropping off my
yes.
kids. And
Uh-huh.
again, here goes the thing that we are like so misalignment. Like we're still important. Like, why do we have to wear the uniform
Yeah,
to feel that and for people to notice us in that? Why can't we be
exactly.
the mum and be important?
And be important, yeah. And I think that's really coming along a lot more now. But even that, when I first started coaching, somebody said to me, why don't you coach ex-military personnel? Because that transition from when you are in the military, like you start off at the bottom and it's pretty rough. But then as you get promoted and the longer you've been there, like you get respect based on a stripe on your arm, not based on who you are,
Mm,
right? And so if you do that for too long, that's why I sort of got out where I did. I was like, no, I can't stay here anymore, because they get so used to being someone, and in the world you're just another fucking person, and it causes so much depression and suicide and like all of the things, you know what I mean? Because there's a significance missing that used to be
yeah.
there. Yeah.
100%. An identity. Like, as an
Yeah.
identity, like,
Yeah.
like you're getting stripped back. And then, I remember when I left offshore and I had Harvey, I thought
Yeah.
I'd done 10 years of therapy, all the coaching.
Yeah.
I was an NLP, I was personal trainer.
Yeah.
I
I
done all the
know this
things.
shit.
And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I know this shit. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, again, and this is where we come back to basics. I realized after I had Harvey, when I had full PTSD, I was crying every
Yeah.
day, but I
Yeah.
had the perfect life. I had money in the bank.
Yeah.
I had my $100,000 Mercedes. I had the partner. I had the house. I had absolutely everything. And I felt actually worse and more guilty than ever before
Yeah.
because I should be happy. Because
Yeah.
like my life beforehand, I was in DV, I was an alcoholic, I was a
Yeah.
drug addict, all the things. But here I had everything. How dare you be
What's wrong
upset
with
with
me?
what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I realized after a year of going through my shit, I was just so busy. I was so
Yes.
productive. I was so on that achieving that actually I was so busy I didn't even know who the fuck I was. I was
Yeah.
just the super mum. And I had like gained respect for like, holy shit, how does she work offshore, have a business? How does she like get into keto and do her diet and
Yeah.
all this stuff? And we
Yeah.
have this thing where like, how like I've now created that I'm the super mum. So that was my new identity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I'm just a
Absolutely.
mum stuck at home.
Yep.
Who
Who
the
the fuck
fuck
am
am
I if
I?
I'm not doing all the things? And then, like, I remember I
Yes.
used to feel so, like, jealous and bitchy at other people going like, "I can do that too. Like, I've just got a baby right now." You know what I mean? It's just like your whole identity's caught up in being the fucking hero.
100%. So,
Yeah.
okay, so right now in this journey, we've heard you've got 3 incredible kids, you've got a
Yep.
husband. What
Yep.
what what was the break? Like what happened with you
Yep.
and your partner? Because also you
Yep.
and your partner are not together now. Like tell
That's
us a little
right.
bit
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, so that was a long fucking journey, let's be honest. So
Yes.
we obviously met in the military. Both of us were very high achieving and the top of our game. And, it was a bit of I guess, a frequency match before I knew what that meant. Yeah.
Mhm.
Trauma bonding. um, Great. Like, we're out all the time. Like, you know me, love to have fun, be a crazy idiot, like party girl from way back. And then as soon as we got married, something flicked in him. He was like now a husband and a dad. And so you just are boring as fuck, honestly. And I remember having a conversation with him in the shed, crying my eyes out, going like, I can't live this mediocre life. Like that's the thing that I sort of come back to. That's the thing that my clients feel a lot is that mediocrity is killing me. And I was begging him, like, we used to go out and we used to do this. And, he was just very fat and happy, as I call it. He wasn't fat, but you know what I mean? Fat and happy, but
Yeah.
comfortable in it. And I just wasn't. And I was never going to be satisfied in that kind of life. So I spent a long time. It was when our third child was quite young that I said, babe, if we didn't have kids, I would not be here anymore. And it took me another like 7 years to actually leave.
Isn't that wild? Isn't
Yeah,
that wild? So
yeah,
7 years, and I know that
yeah,
so many people listening to this right now
yeah,
have stayed in something that they knew that they
yeah,
weren't happy with, but
yeah,
then we still stretched it out for 7 fucking years. And like,
yeah.
this is why you need coaches and stuff, because like, we don't want you to stay stuck for 7 years like we've
Correct. Yeah,
done.
exactly.
Mm.
Well, I really did do all the coaching. So for that time, we went to therapy. I remember going to relationship therapy and walking out of the room mid-session crying because it was so obvious that I shouldn't be in that marriage. But staying, Kirsty, because my family weren't divorced. Like this is what you do, and this is,
Mm.
you need to exhaust every option, and this is who you are. And again, my identity was really stuck on being the wife and the mum, and also being the one who could fucking solve the problem. Oh my God, if I try to rescue another person, like shoot me in the face.
But
I
how
was like, I can
interesting is
fix
that
you. Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah.
and I think and again, people that listen to this, we have been in such the fixer role
Yeah.
because it's actually internally made us feel something. Like if we can
Correct.
fix you, it means something about ourselves. But
Yes.
how interesting that even in that moment where you knew that probably you knew very early on into that you can't
Yeah.
fix this, you can't change this, but
Yeah.
then we just become, well, this is just the way it is right now. This is
Yeah.
it. I've got
Look,
kids, I've got
yeah,
this.
part of it is this is just the way it is. There's also a lot of pressure. Like he's a good guy. He doesn't hit me. Like there was a lot of
Yes.
like slow coercive control, like covert narcissism going on, that took me a long time to recognize because, we blame ourselves or we go, I should be happy. Like you were saying, I've got everything
Yes.
I need. I should be happy. And so, when I would sort of broach the subject, the conversation that would come around that is like, you won't get better than me. I was like, bitch, who do you think you are? And actually, can I just say, as soon as I went out into the dating world, I went, hang on a minute, bro. There's way better out there. Anyway, side note.
Yes. Love
um,
it.
yeah, exactly. But even from my parents, they just wanted me to stay safe and happy. Of course they fucking did. Like, oh, we'll bitch about him, but we don't want you to do anything about it because safe and happy is really important to people who love you. So it's a big, courageous decision and, one that, I took way too long to make, but I couldn't have made any sooner because I also didn't realize that once I made the decision to leave, oh my fucking God, how much the claws would come in then. So yeah, that's a whole nother
Uh,
story, isn't it?
I think, like, but how interesting is that? And like, I remember having a conversation with you, like, about being the good girl and
Yeah.
being and
Being the
and
good
staying.
wife. Being the
good
good
wife.
ex-wife. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's talk about for a second about being the good ex-wife. What
Yeah.
did you do, Nicky, in that moment of, and this is going to blow your fucking mind what Nicky's about to say, but this is how much she was so attached to the good
Yeah.
ex-wife. What happened
Oh,
in that moment?
100%. So, well, look, I still think it was worth a shot. But so he met someone else, which I was actually really grateful for, Kirsty. I was waiting for him to meet someone else because he wouldn't let go of me. I'm pretty fabulous, but like,
Yes, you are. So
Yeah.
the narrative is actually like he was never going to do better than you. That was actually the
That was
projection
the
of his
actual
shit.
narrative. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let go, and it was really costing me so much. And this is how I ended up back in that kind of small space, whereas I just kept getting smaller and smaller because the smaller I was, the less he would be around, and that was safer. So when he finally met someone else, and I was like, thank God. And then I met her, and I was like, oh, thank fucking God. She's perfect for him. And I used to say to him, just because I don't think you're great, that doesn't mean everybody doesn't think you're great. Like there'll be someone out there who lines up with you perfectly. And like, I don't mean to say I told you so, but I fucking told you so. So when I met her, I was like, okay, invite her into the family because, we'd said to the kids, mum and dad are making this choice. We'll always try and be a family. You know what? Like that wasn't going to fucking happen. So I invited her into the family, brought her into the birthday parties, and just really, yeah, if you've seen my socials, you'll see me speak about when my son turned 18 and I tried to involve his dad and I involved his new partner and, was the good fucking ex-wife and just got shat all over, babe. And it was like, that was one of those moments in life when I took a couple of days not talking to anyone. My best friend was like, bitch, are you dead? I was like, no, I just can't see any of you. Where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm always going to get burnt in this situation. Stop trying to please everyone else. Stop trying to
Yes.
create this beautiful fucking extended family that just doesn't exist. Let it go. So, and in that moment, I had to let go of being seen as the bad guy now. Because if I'm not being the good
Yes.
ex-wife, now I'm the bad ex-wife, and it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll be the victim. I'll be the
villain.
the villain in your story because it's fucking not worth doing this anymore.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
how interesting is that? I think like again, when we go back a little bit further, that was you just still trying to have control. And
All
and
the
we
way.
Yeah, and we dress it up as something else. Like, okay, if I
Yeah.
do this, this won't happen. If I
Yeah.
do that, then I've got control over this. At least I can see what the kids are like, with her and all this kind of stuff. So we
Yeah.
actually still sit in this control. And I
Yeah.
totally understand when you said, like, I want you to be with someone else. You're going to be happy with someone else. And again, that's a slight manipulation on our side because we know if
Yep.
you're over here, you're not going to be able to attack me.
I'm off the
I did
fucking
exactly the
hook.
same thing.
Yep.
Yes, you're
Yep.
off the hook. And
Yep.
it's the same thing with me with Noah's dad. I was like,
Yep.
hopefully you're going to find someone else because the moment he did,
Yep.
he didn't even think about me. Then he moved to
Correct.
Sydney and I was like, fucking
Oh,
fantastic. And,
thank the
I
Lord.
was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
And like, I was
Yeah.
just like so happy about that. But again, we do this nice hard thing we don't feel attacked or we have control over the attack. And then we
Yes.
can play but I was so good. I did this. I did
Yes.
that,
You did everything right. Yeah, exactly. And see,
Yeah.
that was the thing when I did all the relationship coaching, I learned a lot about my relationship patterns and where I was destroying relationships, right? So it was like, okay, good. So then it was when I took ownership of all of that and when I worked on my own stuff that I very clearly saw that there was some bigger shit going on that I had not realized. And that's where the relationship kind of had to come to an end because I was like, I remember having a conversation once going, hang on a fucking minute, I've been taking the blame for being the one who's too much and too hard and the problem all this time, and it's fucking you, mate. Like, and I had him for 1 second go, yeah, I can see that. And then he was gone again,
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, my thing with the extended family was, I hated seeing people go through divorce and get nasty with each other. So I was like, I'm going to do it differently. It's going to be nice and my kids aren't going to be that affected. And it's like, it's all fucking bullshit. You never know how it's going to go until it goes. And because I was trying so hard to keep the little image of the beautiful family over here, I was fucking betraying myself like again and again and again. So it's not worth
Boom.
that.
It's one thing to have a business or even the best product or service. But let's be real, when no-face Jackie32 jumps on Instagram throwing those nasty comments and you make it mean something about you, it doesn't matter how good your business is, you will crumble. That's why you need us.
Welcome to We Breathe Success, the ultimate experience for aspiring business owners, entrepreneurs, and coaches who are ready to break through to the next level.
Hi, I'm Kirsty Waddingham.
And I'm Bo Drury.
We're not just any mindset business mentorship. We are the world's best when it comes to mindset, breakthrough, and transformation.
Our approach combines breakthrough breathwork, powerful mindset techniques, manifestation, and strategic business coaching, setting you up for each week for success and action.
If you're truly serious about unlocking explosive growth, you're in the right place.
Success starts with one essential foundation, your mindset. Without it, even the best business strategies will fall apart.
That's why we go deeper than traditional coaching. We offer advanced biohacking and mindset reprogramming.
Your network is your net worth, and now you have access to ours. With all of this, success isn't just a possibility, it's your only option.
We're here to help you break through your old limits, step into extraordinary success, and create unstoppable momentum for growth. We cover it all: mindset, somatic strategy, community, and connection.
So are you ready to be the leader, visionary, and powerhouse that you were meant to be? Click the link below. Let's book a call.
Fucking boom. And that is the biggest thing here, is that we're consistently self-abandoning. We are consistently like thinking like, oh, if I do this, then I'll be able to look after this side of these. But we're destroying ourselves at the same time.
Literally.
We're not having a voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like when you met me again, you were like, where the fuck are you, babe? Like what's happened?
100%. And it's like, when we go back, like what you were saying a second ago at the start, you went to the fourth doctor or the fourth, therapist, and he said like everything's inside of you, and you were looking for someone, you literally were looking for the person to tell you that. And it's like, when I found you again, when you came back into, our world, and then I said to you, like, I believe in you. Like, you've got this inside of you. Like, bring her back. Like, I was so inspired. Like, for everyone that doesn't know, like, I met Nicky actually in a business container. That's how I met her. And like, I just loved her energy. That was the first thing. And then when I started working with her, like, I just seen this lid on her, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, the reason why I liked you was because you were so fire, because you were so excited. Like, your aura was so incredible. And I'm sure there's so many people who can relate to this. Like, how many times we had the lid put on us so many times that before you know it, we're back to being a shell of ourselves, and we're damned. We're fucking damned.
I'd completely forgotten who I was again. And the thing you said to me, Kirsty, was like, be Nicky. And I was like, the permission to be me was the thing that was lacking, that I didn't know was lacking. I didn't know I'd given up on that at all. But what I did know is I'd done a lot of therapy and coaching to learn to be smaller. So this is something to look out for as well. Like, I worked with coaches who were like, the fairly fucking shitty thing happened after our divorce that I probably should have been really pissed off about. And I immediately went to, how can I forgive him? Because I'd done so much coaching and therapy on understanding the other person's point of view and, going into that space, that I forgot that I was allowed to be pissed off. I forgot that I was allowed to be angry. I forgot that I was allowed to be messy and make mistakes. I forgot that, like, I could be me. And so, when you came along and literally you were just like, where the fuck are you? Like, take the lid off. What's going on? And it was like my little soul went like, fucking thank God, like, come back out.
You're like, someone sees me. Someone sees me.
Someone sees me, and they're not saying be careful. They're saying be bold. And it was like, fuck. Like, everything that I used to say to my clients, you were saying to me. And like I said in my own podcast, Kirsty, I needed a Nicky, and you were her. Like,
100%. And you are a person who needs direct. You don't want to have the fluffy bullshit. You want someone to say to you, like, wait, pull your fucking head out. You know who you are. You just forgot for a second. And we all have moments, and still, everyone that's listening to this as well, like, we have moments of still having self-doubt. Just because we're in these containers, or just because we're coaches, or we're in these industries or careers, it does not mean that there isn't moments of going, am I good enough?
Absolutely.
Can I do this?
Yeah.
But it's the work, it's the tools that we have, it's the consistent going, I know this pattern. I know this pattern. I'm not staying here.
Yeah, and the knowing that that's normal. I was just saying to a client the other day, like, Oprah Winfrey says in one of her interviews, like, every single person that she's interviewed, the most famous people in the world, the most, like, the Buddha, you know what I mean? She's like, everyone at the end goes, was that okay? Like, it's human. It doesn't matter how confident you look or how much success you've got. It's really human to be like insecure or nervous or, lose your way a little bit sometimes. So yeah, I think the hardest thing in that is our own self-judgment.
100%. And I know that everybody can agree to that, and they've felt that at times as well. Now,
Yeah.
through your time, you've done different types of coaching, you
Yep.
have been different, I'd say, seasons of coaches for other
Yep.
people as well. And again, I think it comes back to like what season we're in, that when
Yeah.
we overcome that, we want to go into the next thing. So, you've done a lot of like amazing corporate events. You are a keynote speaker, you've done some incredible things. How did you get into that space? Like, how did you get into the corporate
I don't know.
space?
I don't fucking know. Who fucking knows, Kirsty?
Who fucking
Who fucking
knows?
knows? So the thing is, people have always said to me, "Oh my God, I love your energy." And I was like, I don't know what you're fucking talking about. Like, what's happening here? You know what I mean? So the corporate stuff was when I first came to Perth, people started saying to me, or the coaches I was working with then started saying to me, "Oh, you've got military experience, you should do corporate leadership training." Brilliant. That's a good match, right? Absolutely. So off I went, and I really got those gigs through network. So people who knew that people needed someone and go and do speaking gigs and stuff, which was amazing and really lucrative and excellent, but like not that soul fulfilling, if I'm honest. Like I remember driving home from the city one day after teaching some lawyers. You know how they have to do CPD points every year? So I was doing a presentation for a bunch of lawyers. They were just fucking hurry up so I can tick the box. Driving home going, this isn't fulfilling. Like it pays the bills and it's what I know and I'm good at, but it's not what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't
So I
that
actually then
interesting? Like,
changed.
yeah, go.
Yes, sorry. I was going to say I actually then changed. So now when I do corporate gigs, like the one that I just did recently that we were talking about with Heidi, I just show up as me. And I used to
Mm,
try and be very corporate, Kirsty. It's not very
yeah.
suiting for me.
Yep.
And so I just go up as me, and people are like, people in the audience have this face on like, what the fuck? Like, where'd this bitch come from? After they saw people reading the whole speech out, and then I'm like, hey, and blah, 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 and everyone get up and have a shake. And they're like, who is this? So I really think that I'm needed in corporate. Anyone who's listening, I'm free for hire. Not free!
Yes. No, not free. Yeah, not
Not
free.
free.
But she's
Time free,
available.
not money
She's
free.
available. She's
Available.
available. She's available. Do you know what? It's really interesting. I was in offshore, and I got offered after I was big in this breathwork scene. They offered me someone who knew me very well, who was very well connected offshore. They wanted me to go into corporate and do breath work. Now we sat down, had a meeting. I was like, this is very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm coming back around. I need to do all this
Yeah.
stuff. And then I'm still very good friends with him, and he was a very good mentor for me. But he
Yeah.
said to me, I need you to be a little less Kirsty.
Oh.
I need you to not be swearing. I need you to like cover up a bit more. I need you to do this. And I sat there and I looked at him and I said, Dawn, I have not got to where I am now by being quiet. I said, I love you. I think you're amazing, but this isn't for me. And I turned down massive. I could have made massive
Yeah.
money in this industry.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to be around that. When I was in corporate doing work for them as a personal trainer, the anxiety, I never had so many migraines. I'd never been so
Yeah.
sick in my life working in that environment. And I thought this time I'm going to be able to bring breathwork and mindset to the firefight and offshore. And
Change
this is
the
going to be
world.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Change
Yeah.
the world. And again, here was someone that I really respected trying to put a little me. And I was like,
Yeah.
not for me. And
Yeah.
that was when I felt powerful, because
Yeah.
I didn't need you now. You weren't the big dog anymore. I
Yeah.
was the thought after one. I was the one that people wanted, and I refused to try and pretend that I was someone I'm not. And I think that is very much like where you come from.
Yep.
You tried to be the corporate, the perfect,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But you know what? People loved you for not being that person, for
Correct.
showing them a different way, because they're all wanting to be more like you, the real Nicky, not the
Yeah.
corporate Nicky.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I used to go in and I'd sort of check in with the group and say, like, is it okay if I swear? And I tried to be really careful, but actually, it's like, that's the thing that they need, because it is so stuffy and it is so, like you said, it is so put a lid on it, and that's why people are in such pain. Holy shit! And I think what's important about this story that we're telling here together is that it's really important the things that you say no to, because you're actually saying yes to you. And I think those moments, like that's where you as a coach will have taken people through this, going like, I know that looks like a really good deal, but it's like selling your soul to the devil, and so it's like, say no to it, something bigger and better is coming. And this is the whole sitting in faith and energetics and all of that, which people haven't been taught how to trust, but you have to sit in and go, it's the things you say no to that make you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about something that we've spoken about before because I just think it's such a crazy thing.
Go on
But
then.
what happened to you the time when you made that
Oh, yeah,
$45,000? What did you do? Like, how did
yeah,
that make you feel, and what happened? Tell me
yeah,
about it.
yeah. So, there's so much to this story as well, Kirsty. I know you're leading me to the end point of it, but I want everybody to know that, when we were talking about the wife and the mother and being less than and being just a mum, like, I decided, like, you know what? If I fucking make a successful business, if I earn enough money, I will be good enough and he'll be happy and everyone will be happy because I'm safe, right? And that did not happen. So when I hit my first 45K month, it was just at the beginning of COVID, actually. Um, and I remember like ringing my dad and going like, "Oh my God, Dad." And I felt so guilty. Like, who gets to make that much money talking to people every day? Like, got in trouble my whole life for talking to people and now people pay me for it. Who gets to do that? I just remember it really triggered me. And this is the thing about money that we don't realize. We think, yes, we want it all, but when it comes, holy fuck, so does the emotion, right? So my
Mm-hmm.
dad was really happy and proud of me. But I went and did some very responsible and practical things. So I bought a new washer and dryer set with my 45,000, and then I think my ex-husband bought a new engine for his car, and you know what I mean? Like, my coach at the time was like, "That is not fucking celebrating your success, Nicky. What are you doing?" And you've had the exact same response. It's a joke between all of us now that we've got this. I went out and bought a washing machine, to be the good girl.
And again, playing that card and didn't reward yourself. And for
No,
people, it's just like we do have this massive money story, and you're right. Like, people want all this money. They're like, yes, yes, yes. And that's why we are you first, business second,
yeah,
purely because your nervous system couldn't hold it. You didn't actually feel
no,
safe holding that. And then you
not at
wanted to put
all.
it away. And then what you want to do is, it needs to go back to the family. I
Yes,
need to be responsible with this.
yes.
I can't just go and treat myself. I couldn't go on a holiday
No.
or something like that. I need to
Yeah.
go and like put it back out to the family,
Yep.
because then I've done the responsible good girl
Yeah.
thing.
And it comes back to connection as well. I was like, I don't want to leave my tribe. Like, I tell the story in a lot of my events about the eagle that grew up with turkeys, and the eagle tries to fly off and the turkeys are like, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" And that's how it feels. You're like, I don't want to leave my tribe. So it's like, quick, if I put all this money in the family, good girl, Nicky, at least you're not blowing it on X, Y, or Z. At least you're being responsible. You know what I mean? So I get to feel some calmness in the how dare I space that I was in. Like, how dare you? I was so like, literally, I can still feel it now as I'm talking about it. How dare you? I remember walking in the sunshine in the beautiful Perth weather going like, are you fucking joking? Like, I did not work very hard for that money, because it doesn't feel like hard work because I love it. You know what I mean? So it's like this isn't okay. Like, oh my God, don't tell anyone. I was so embarrassed.
And you were also from the military, from the army. So
Yeah.
you had to work hard for that.
Work
It was a
hard.
struggle. It was
Yeah.
hard,
Yes.
physically, mentally, everything. So when
Yeah.
something came so easy, again, it's unsafe. That's
Unsafe.
not
Yeah.
how it's meant to be. It's not
Yeah.
how it's meant to be. Why did this happen
Judgments.
to me?
Like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So
how
much doesn't. I was
interesting.
so worried about like people, our industry comes with judgment anyway, like you're a freaking snake oil salesman. So yeah, and that hit me hard. I was like, my brother would say things like, you're taking the piss out of people and you're just working with the vulnerable, and like, like what you would say to religious
Yes.
cults, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And again, stigma of
Yeah.
what you're doing, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to literally help people so they don't feel the same way that I felt. I want to get people
Yep.
out of this faster, because I stayed in an unhappy marriage for 7 years. I don't
Yeah.
want you to stay in an unhappy marriage for
Correct.
7 years.
Yeah.
I want you to know who you are. I want you to learn
Yeah.
from all of my mistakes. And I think that's
Exactly.
one of the biggest things.
And all of those clients that came on, like about 50% of them were in business themselves, and then they start making money. And this is how we empower women in the world. You know what I mean? It's like, we follow on what we know and we give what we know. You know what I mean, Kirsty? Like, you give me what you know, I give someone else what we know. We're now empowering. The
Yes.
whole cycle of money gets to be different. So yeah, it was a really big learning experience for me, and one that we can joke about forever.
Yes, 100%. What do you think, like, going from, like, all the things that you've gone through in life to where you are now, and, we'll talk
Mm,
about all the incredible things you've got going on at the moment, but what do you think
mm,
was one of the biggest challenges that you've faced to get to where you are now? Like, you're running 2 retreats, you've got your program, you've
mm.
got women coming to you that you're speaking out your truth, but what was one of the biggest challenges or struggles that you had to overcome to be this version of Nicky right now today?
Oh, that's such a big question. Look, this is going to sound really coachy, so like question me on it if it sounds too high level and vague, you know what I mean? But one of the biggest challenges that I have had to overcome every step of the way is carrying identity and shame that's not mine. So other people's stuff that I'm like, oh, I need to stay there to be loved by them, or yeah, I better stay. Like I said before, the connection, and I better stay. I remember I used to work with small businesses here in Perth as well, and they work fucking hard for their money, let's be honest. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
feeling so guilty that they were working 6 days a week and I was working like 4 hours a week, and we were earning the same, so that getting over, that's not mine, that's theirs. Like, so really one of the biggest things I've had to get over consistently again and again is I'm not responsible for everybody else's experience. I'm not responsible for how they perceive it, because it's like breaking that glass ceiling, as we call it. When you break through it, all of a sudden, I saw Alex Hormozy saying today, people will cheer for you at the start and they'll cheer for you at the end, but it's the middle part that you need to be cheering for yourself. And that's the hardest part.
100%. And it goes back to mindset. That's what it
Yes.
is.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
mindset.
Yeah.
It's understanding that the version of you today, who you're stepping into, is not the version of you were beforehand, but
Yeah.
also everyone else's beliefs, everyone else's outdated systems inside
Yeah.
of you, all of those stories that you created about
Yeah.
what something means or a word or anything like that. So mindset.
And belonging, where I belonged as well. So, if
Mm.
everybody's aware of the 6 core human needs that Tony Robbins teaches, my need for belonging far outweighed my need to succeed at times. You know what I mean? It's like, cool, I'll
Yes.
come back down so I belong and I have a tribe to be part of. I speak to my clients about this. I go, there's one tribe here and there's another tribe out there somewhere, but you actually have to walk through the desert alone to get to it, and you don't know where it is, and you don't know where there's water, and you don't know where there's shelter, but keep walking. That's what it feels like, right? And so, yeah, at times in your life when you're going through hard stuff, like, you need to belong becomes harder, so you betray yourself again. And back you go. Yeah.
Yep, I could not agree more. Again,
Yeah.
connection, support,
Yeah.
network, belonging, and that is what people, I always say, like, when Bo goes away, I feel like I lost my duck, like we're two
Yeah.
ducks, and we duck along life,
Yes.
do all the things, and then he's gone. I'm like the left hand side's gone. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm paralyzed over
I'm
here.
half a duck. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And that's why
I'm half a
it's
duck.
so valuable. That's why being in communities like this, that's why I rebuilt my community, Kirsty, because what I realized was I kind of went through a stage in my business where I was like, I'm only going to do one-on-one now because I get to work a lot deeper with people there. But what was missing was, especially for women, what was missing was community. And
Mm.
being in spaces now, like, you've seen it, you've witnessed it this week in your group where one of the girls is having a really hard time and didn't want to say so, and then in she comes and we're all on her like, fucking come on babe, we're lifting you up. And that's, oh, I'm going to cry a little bit.
Yeah.
And because it's so powerful, that's the part that women don't realize. We come into groups with our guard up, but it's like, if you find your people, like, you will excel so much faster.
I could not agree more. And that's why I've spent so much time on community. If there's
Yeah.
a bad apple in the community, they are gone straight away. It
Yeah.
is like it's a non-negotiable for us,
Yeah.
because I have spent so much time and observing the, especially women,
Yeah.
tearing women down. Like, I've
Yeah.
just never understood that. I've never got it. I'm like, there's so much for everyone here. Like, why are we not working all together? Do not people realize that if you collaborate and connect, you get to the dream destination faster? Like, do you
Yeah.
not
Faster and with
understand
more
that?
fun. Yeah.
With more fun. And like,
Yeah.
I always used to say, like, it is lonely at the top. And that is why
Yeah.
we created those 4 retreats, because I was like, you
Yeah.
know what? Now I'm traveling. I want everyone to have experience in Dubai, Japan, Ibiza, like all of
Yeah.
these places. I want
Yeah.
everyone to come with me. I don't want to sit at the top by myself. How fucking boring and lonely.
How
Like, what am I doing it
boring.
for?
Yeah,
How boring.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
know?
And that's like, and being on that retreat too, Kirsty, like, that was probably where my remembrance of, like, oh, that's right, I belong here. And I
Well,
belong in a
Jessica
place where I
Rabbit.
get
Jessica
to be
Rabbit
me.
came out, mate.
Yeah, but you know what? Jessica Rabbit came out and everybody went, yes, girl, instead of like, who does she think she is? You know?
Oh, it was
Yeah.
electric. It was like, oh my God. Like, it was
Yeah.
like this person that was wearing yoga pants and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Jessica Rabbit comes down the
Hello,
stairs with her,
bitches. Yeah.
hello, bitches. This is exactly what it was. And we were all like, holy shit. But
Yeah.
you felt beautiful. You felt
Yep.
powerful. And you had everyone just in awe, like an absolute
Magnetized
awe.
as well. We were all loud
Yes.
and giggly and big. And
Yep.
do you know what, Kirsty? When I wrote my bio, like to come on the podcast, and I was like, yeah, as a kid, like I said, growing up in a little country town with all the farmers and they're very masculine and it's very important and everybody's very serious. And I was wearing fucking my mum's skirts and gonna be a movie star, and you know what I mean? It's who I am. And like you said, so many personalities of Nicky, but underneath it all, like when I'm like that, when I'm in that sort of bright space, that's where I am the most comfortable.
Yeah, when you were in the
Yeah,
limelight, and it showed.
yeah,
Like the photos showed, the way that you showed up showed, who you
yeah,
were on stage showed, it all showed. So
yeah,
a question for you, like what
yeah.
made you at the time that you came on, what made you join We Breeze Steps? Like why then?
Well, why then was because I've been watching you and going, like, I think I've said this to you before. I've been watching coaches that I was on par with surpass me and get like pissy about it and go, why am I fucking back here and they're over there? So then you guys ran a free 21-day challenge. I don't even know why I jumped on that. It was just like, yeah, I think I need to fucking do that, you know? And then I got in your group and then I got like Kirsty's validation. My God, woman. Like if anyone wants to feel good about themselves, hang around Kirsty. Because all of a sudden I went from like, I'd worked so hard to be back in my feminine energy and be softer and not put pressure on myself. And, you know, you don't have to be perfect and all that. I'd gone too far the other way. So when I did the 21-day challenge and I was like, I fucking love this. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Working out twice a day, being exhausted for a good reason, like having boxes to tick and, you know, supporting other people. And all of a sudden I remembered like, Nicky, I remembered who I was and I was like, oh, sorry, bitches, I'm not that soft, feminine woman. Like I can be, but that's not wholly and solely who I am. And actually, I kind of a bit disappointed in myself that I'm not fulfilling this bucket, you know? So the 21-day challenge, and like at the end of that, I was like, ask me now, take my money. Because I
I
just,
love
like I
that.
said, it was, and I knew that I had work to do. So you kind of saw me, I saw me and I was like, oh, fuck, I need to go this way. And, you know, and I remember going, I didn't grow up like you guys. I have like one tiny tattoo. I didn't do drugs ever. Like I didn't grow up with the hardships that you guys had, but it's where I belong right now, you know? So I remember.
But isn't that interesting? Because if I know a lot of your past, they
Yeah.
were hardships. They were really hardships. But what
Yeah.
happens is you look at someone like us, like, you know,
Yes.
and you compare to that version. I'm like, but your pain
Yeah.
was very, very fucking real to you.
Yeah.
And this is what we do. And then we see this all the time at our events. Like, I don't feel like I could put my hand up and speak because I haven't gone through all that trauma that these
Traditional
poor people
trauma.
have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but your trauma is real to you.
Yeah.
What has happened to you is real to you. And for me, I'm like, Nicky, I remember the day that I sat down with you and did that first one-to-one, I'm like, why the fuck is this story not out? And that's when you started to
Yes.
unleash. That was when
Correct.
you're like, because I gave you permission to like, Nicky
Correct.
needs to fucking come out. Like,
Yeah.
and then you did that one story about being the good wife or the good girl, and it
Yes.
went viral. Like everyone was like connecting
Yes.
and like messaging you
Yeah.
because like they felt
Well,
that.
my authenticity came back. So, you know, I recently read a book called The Path of Integrity, and it hit me so hard because it's like the reason my business wasn't working is because I was operating behind a mask and just sort of going off what I used to do and teach and not what I had been through. And when I put that post up about being the good ex-wife, people who I didn't even know knew I existed were like, you have nailed that. I'm sharing that with my friend. Like they needed to hear that, you know, like it made such an impact. And I really was nervous to press go on that button. But they're the moments, aren't they? When you feel like you might vomit, like they're the moments when it's like, yep, this is either going to be nothing and I'm being full of shit, or this is going to hit the nail on the head. And people need to hear this. And so, yeah, my authenticity got to come back. Even when we were in Bali and I said to you, like, you know, I'm a bit much sometimes. I can be a bit forward and a bit rude and I can always apologize for that. And you were like, why? I was like, what? I get to be me? Shut up.
and how crazy is because like I look at you and I see a very different lens. Like I'm looking at you
Yes.
as a whole different thing. And then you're saying these things and I'm like, why the
Yes.
fuck would you apologize? Like, what
Yeah,
are
you
you
were so
apologizing
confused.
for?
I remember your eyes.
Yeah.
You were so confused. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm gotten off track here.
I love that. And what do you think,
Yeah.
like after joining Web Resist, what do you think is the biggest success that you've had since you've been joined us?
God, I know like we have, we've got numbers and we've got business and we've got things like that, Kirsty, but the biggest success, I'm going to cry,
You're
is
allowed
getting
to.
myself back. Like literally, how is that
Yes.
not the most important thing that you've ever done for yourself is to get yourself back? So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And and this, guys, this is what it's all about actually knowing who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Again, why we are such a big thing on you first, business second,
Yeah.
because I could have given Nicky all the strategy, all the marketing, all the sales, all the things, all the leads. But if Nicky does not believe in herself, if Nicky
Yeah.
has got all of this other shit going on, if Nicky is nervous and doesn't feel safe in making 50, 80K months,
Yeah.
nothing I fucking do is going to stick to her foundation.
Mm.
And that's why, we've got the 5 pillars, and the top 2, the first one's community, network, and support. The next one is mindset and nervous system regulation. And you
Yeah.
nail those 2, everything else just falls by the wind. It always is going to stick. And like watching you, Nicky, come out and just be you again, watching this fire inside of you, watching you come in and being like, having an idea to run a retreat, and then, and again, for everyone listening, like she was running a retreat and then something happened, the old programming comes back, like, oh, can I actually do this? Because the motivation's gone, all that things, life is happening as well at the same time, and every business owner can resonate with this.
Yeah.
Then it becomes I can't really do this, who do you think you are, blah, blah, blah. And even though you've just listened to her, you've listened to all the things that she's achieved, all of her,
Yeah.
awards and the success and all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But then it's still in the background. But then it's when we need to do the work and smash that shit
Do
out.
the work.
And now, like,
Yeah.
Nicky's selling out all of her retreats. People can't wait to work with her because she's being herself. She's allowing other people to be themselves as well.
Yeah, exactly, which is exactly what you gave me. Like the days that we spent in Bali together, like not even in the retreat, Kirsty, but sitting at the dinner table together and just conversing over how similar our paths were. Like when I say I don't come from your world, we had such a similar experience in things in different ways, right? And going like,
Yep.
I've got no excuses left because look at you. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, all right then. Well, if I can just keep going. And like listening to yours and Beau's story about because I really don't always love the coaching world and personal development world, and it can get very high school bitchy, and a lot of ego involved. And, so I pull away from those kind of spaces. But hearing you guys talk about your journey of being rejected by that world and just going, we're choosing to go bigger, I was like, Nicky, how dare you? How dare you hide away? You know what I mean? How
100%.
fucking dare you? This is what I'm on the planet for.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's why, like, I always sit back and I look about that time in 2022 and all that shit was going on. And I remember having the mindset going, this sucks right now. The world feels like it's heavy and it's going against me, but I fucking promise I will be the leadership in this role with coaches to own their fucking power and fuck anyone that tries to make them small. I was like, I will not allow this to happen. So it made me the better coach because now in my container, you get everything. Anything we do, anything that's winning in us, here's the thing. You can just do straight the template. You can take my breath work. You can take my scripts. You can take anything you want. You can repurpose it for your own business and you can do the damn thing. And I do not care. I'm never going to sit there and be like, oh, they did this, they did that. Take it. The 21-day challenge.
Which is how I used to operate and copped a fair bit of shit for that. And so I stopped. And this is the thing, the difference between you and I is you didn't stop, and it was like, and I did fucking take your 21-day template and I did make it my own and I did run it again and it was phenomenal. You know what I mean? So I was like, really? Can I really do it? Let me just see if this bitch lets me. Yes. And so that's the same with me when people go, Nicky, can I share this? I'm like, yes, fucking share it because it's not like the IP that I'm fucking wanting the world to have. It's the transformation that I'm wanting the world to have,
Fuck yes. And when your mission is so much greater than yourself, you will always win. My whole mission was to see the world emotionally pain-free and living a life they loved. I didn't care how that happened. If I inspired you and then you took my stuff and then you inspired 10 other people, I'm part of the solution. And, I even had to I had someone just join us recently in Weibo Success who said that she basically got kicked out of a group because she was in a community group and then she created another group that was in her hometown.
Within it.
And
Yeah.
and the person didn't like it because it was outside their group. We have
Control.
our main group. You guys have your own Perth group. Like,
Yep.
that's what it's about. I
Now
built
we've got
this
a Bali group. Like, I'm in about
Yes.
4 groups. Yeah.
100%. And this is
Yeah.
what it is about
Yeah.
connecting people so they feel like you're not meant to be the coach that's still trying to control people when you're saying that you're like freedom and all this shit. But
Yes.
do you want
Do
freedom?
you
Because
though?
you're
Yeah.
not. Yeah, do you?
100% question. And that's the thing. I kept noticing the codependency in coaching groups where it's like, you need this and you need to stay and you need to be in this group and the loyalty and all that. And it was like, ew, like we're trying to teach people to think for themselves. And that's why even like at retreat, I said to one of the girls there who was like, because we're big and we're loud and people think that's why we succeed. It's not. We succeed because we're us, right? So,
Yes.
and I said to this girl, maybe you're meant to be quiet. Maybe you're meant to observe the world quietly. Maybe that's your place in the world. And that's the thing. I never, ever want people to come into my container and go, I want to be like you, Nicky. I'm like, let's change that.
Yep.
Because I want you to be more of you, like turn the dial up
Yep.
on you, which is exactly, listen to the pattern. It's exactly what you did for me or were saying to me. You know what I mean? Turn the dial up on you. Yeah.
100%. And also in this industry, like you just said, people want you to stay forever. I don't want everyone to stay with me forever. If you find after you've done this, you need a different container, perfect. Because I've your wings, you're flying now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
And to be honest, the main reason why I find that people always come back, and we've done so much feedback and surveys on this, it was the community. They didn't want to get out of the community. That was the
100%.
number one thing. They didn't want to not be a part of it. They felt like once they left, they were cold. It was alone out there.
Yeah.
They wanted the
Where am
community.
I? I'm in the desert again. Fuck. Go back.
100%. So what would be the one message or the one tip that you could leave the audience today that could imprint them and change them? What would it be?
I think that's such a hard question. I think that's cruel of you to ask me one thing, babe. That's just mean.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll go with some of my classics. Like, I always say one of my classics is when you invest in yourself, the world wins. I think the thing with investing in yourself or, taking on some coaching or spending money on yourself in any way, I think people always get this, I'm taking from something else. Or like people have said, I could go on a holiday for that. Yes, bitch, you could go on a holiday and be happy for 5 minutes, or you could invest in yourself and really improve your life for 5,000 years. So, my number one thing would be, if you've got anything from this conversation at all, please, please, please stop, check in with yourself. Is this the life you want to live? It's possible for you to choose differently. Be brave, take the step, like put it in the fuck it bucket. Let's go.
Yes. Yes, girlfriend. Put it in the fuck it bucket. Love that. Well, thank you so much, Nicky. And if anyone is listening to this, how can they reach out to you? Where can they find you? Tell us where they can find you.
Instagram's probably the easiest way. Everybody can get there on Instagram, can't they? So it's at Nicky Veenvliet _official. Just flick a message over. Like, I've got the website and all the things going on, but just flick me a message or come stalk me a little bit. We love a stalker.
We definitely love a stalker. One of the good stalkers.
Good stalking.
Good stalking. But we will have all of your credentials in the show notes as well, so you can get hold of Nicky at any time. She is a phenomenal boss babe in this space. She is the mom, she's the partner, she's the worker, she's done all the things. So please reach out to her, even for a chat. She's hilarious to talk to, and she'll drop you a voice note because she's fucking funny.
She tries to be serious, but she can't help it. Like,
she can't. She's just Nicky. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, babe, and just showing all the sides of a human behind business, and that it's very easy for everyone to look at Instagram and see all the highlights and see all the beautiful things and the perfect Instagram feed, but there's a human being behind the mask. There's a human being behind the Instagram. There's a human being behind the highlights. And this is why I will do my very, very best to always show all sides of this, because we are all humans having human experiences, whatever that looks like. And just because we do the work and just because we go to all of the things and we know all of the skills, it doesn't mean that you're not going to ever fuck up again. It doesn't mean that you're not always going to get it right. You're going to make mistakes along the way. And guys, it's called life. It's called being human. So thank you so much, Nicky, for for sharing and being so raw and honest with all of your experiences. For anyone else that is listening, please, if you love this, share this, like it, get it out there.
Yep.
And if you want to contact Nicky, get in contact with her because she is freaking phenomenal. Thank you so much for another episode of Spill the Tea with Kirsty and Bo minus Bo. Big love.
Thank you, darling.